It's a nice piece of the net.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats, Mike. Congrats, P. Congrats, Coach. And your man is back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're joined right now by the 2017 NCAA East Regional Champion, the South Carolina Gamecocks. We're joined by student athletes Mike Kotsar, PJ Dozier, and Sindarius Thornwell, and the head coach Frank Martin. Coach Martin will open things up with a statement. Then we'll take questions first for the student athletes. Coach.
Just unbelievably, just a surreal moment. You focus in on chasing young kids around, hoping that they grow up and believe, and you end up with guys like these guys right next to me and their teammates that have the courage to come back every day and do more. And I'm just out of words. Just extremely proud of these guys right next to me.
Let's take questions for the student athletes first. Let's bring it up for the first one with David.
David Cloninger with the States, and PJ, as you know, local guys, South Carolina guys, and watching this program growing up, did you ever think a day like this would be possible? And is that why you guys signed to come to the Gamecocks?
Signing and growing up and stuff, all we asked for was a chance to make it. We didn't ask for, coach didn't guarantee us anything, but to come here and just work hard and give ourselves a chance. And all we wanted was to make it. All we wanted was a bid in the tournament to see our names on the board. And when we got our name on the board, the rest, we'll take care of itself. And all we wanted was a chance.
PJ, you want to take that one as well?
Yeah, it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing. Personally, I didn't know where this program could go, but I know that when Frank Martin stepped foot on campus, you just got this vibe that the ball was rolling, and the progress, like you could see it every year, every day. If you go to each practice, they got better. Each year, they got better. Statistically, and it showed. Just as Sin said, Coach didn't promise us, anything, but he did promise us that we had faith in him and we listened to what he had to say, and we did what he had to say. We did what he said to do, that we would be successful here, and it shows.
And Mike, same question for you.
Committing here, I was hoping that this would happen, but did I think that? Definitely not. Just feels amazing.
Next question is going to be all the way to the left.
Anthony Sula-Heffinger, Yahoo Sports. For the three of you, expanding on that, what has Coach told you about and taught you over these past 2 weeks throughout the tournament heading to your first Final Four?
We'll ask Mike to take that first, then PJ, then Sindarius.
I'd say the main thing that Frank has taught us throughout the season is to put trust into one another, to trust Frank, to trust our teammates, both on and off the court.
The coach's mindset never changed. The players' mindset never changed throughout the whole season. We just Coach harps on being the everyday guy. Every day, giving it 110%. Coming in every day to work.
And Sindarius.
These last 2 weeks, when we got our name, man, he said we've been listening to him all season, and don't stop now because we got our name on the board. So, when he said that, we all locked in and didn't listen to any outsiders, didn't listen to anybody else but Coach, and trusted in him and everything. And we have this thing where don't let go of the rope. No matter what happens, no matter the outcome of anything, don't let go of that rope.
On the right side of the aisle in the second row, Len.
Len Robbins, New York Post. And Darius, this is for you. We've talked a lot about you being the most underrated player of the year from a major conference. Florida's up 55-53, and I think you scored the next 8 points for South Carolina, then you assisted on a basket, then you made a steal. Was there something inside of you that just said, you've always wanted this chance, this is my chance?
No, I just made plays. I was just in a situation where, I just make plays. I feel like our team is the most underrated team in the country, outside of me. But our team is the most underrated team as a whole. But I just feel like plays need to be made down the stretch, and I stepped up and was in a situation where I was able to make the plays.
In the center of the section, to the right.
WLTX. You guys talked about trust. There was a particular play that stood out to me. Sendarius, you passed the ball to Kotsar. Guys put you up 69-65. Just talk about that trust, the trust Kotsar in that moment, how that play developed, and PJ even seeing that play, like, was that like kind of a microcosm of trust this year, or describe that play?
It's crazy because we were just talking about that back there. Is that the one in transition? And then I turned around and hooped it to him. Yeah, when he called it, everybody was like, "Bring it out, bring it!" When he shot it, everybody, yes. But we knew Mike. I knew Mike was ready to play when the second possession of the game. He posted up and he called my name, yelled my name, send, give me the ball. And that's when I knew Mike was ready to play and he was locked in. And he made plays for us all night. And he was prepared for the moment.
Mike, you want to also talk about that one?
Yeah, that moment when I made the shot, I felt like it's gonna go in, so took the shot. Nothing more to it.
Excellent. All the way to the right in the front. This is the left-hand microphone, though.
Josh Newman, Asbury Park Press. PJ, as a local kid, as somebody who has seen this program, lower than it is now, to be at this high point, what are your emotions like now, having seen both ends of this?
I'm speechless, man. Honestly, I'm happy for those guys that came in and were on a mission. Frank Martin, when he came in 5 years ago, he was on a mission. He had an objective to turn this program around by getting great players like Sin, Justin Mackey, other players, Mike Carrera. So we just thank those guys that came. Well, I thank those guys that came before me. that paved the way to be able to have this opportunity to put this program in the position that it's in.
All the way to the back, and this is the right side microphone.
Tom Merriam with AP Radio. How much of a sense of accomplishment versus a sense of there's more to do is there for you right now?
Sendarius, can you take that one?
Yeah, we're not going to settle for this. We still feel like we got one more game. We're not going to that game. Thinking we still going to that game thinking we can win. Why not us? Why not go win it all? And that's our mindset. And we feel like we can compete with anybody right now in the country.
Second row left of the aisle.
This is Dan Stack from FanRag Sports. This is for Coach. Obviously, you have a special player.
I'm sorry, Dan. We're doing student-athlete questions right now. We can get to Coach in just a second. And let's take one to the right of the aisle.
Heath Klein, 107.5 The Game. Guys, this is the third time in 4 of these games that you guys have been behind at the half. What is it, what quality is it that has allowed you guys to never panic and be able to close games when you get behind like that?
And who is that directed toward? Sendarius, can you take it first, then PJ?
We just, we've been in that situation, like you said so many times. When we played Florida at home, we was in that same situation, down 7 at half. Played Duke, we was down. Marquette, we was down, and we felt like we was doing the right things. We felt like, everything was going good for us. It just the ball wasn't falling in, and we just needed a couple more stops. And so going into halftime, we all just, buckled in and locked in on what we needed to do to win and took it one possession at a time.
Final question for the student athletes is for Len.
Len Robbins, New York Post. PJ, usually we ask a Duke player this question. With about a minute and a half to go, you guys went back on defense and you slapped the court with both palms. What's going through your head then? And is Carolina now in that Duke, Carolina, Kentucky conversation?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's what we all signed up for. We signed up to be in this position, to be amongst the great teams, as y'all would call them. So we know we have a great team ourselves. That defensive play was it was emotion. We needed to stop. I'm pretty sure all the guys were just as excited as I was. We looked over to the bench. The bench is up. Excited, getting the crowd pumped. The crowd's going crazy. So you just dream about being in positions like that on the stage like this.
We want to thank Mike and PJ and Sendarius for joining us today and all weekend long. Congratulations. We'll see you in Phoenix.
See you guys in a while.
Cat. We'll take the first question for Coach Martin to the left of the aisle.
This is Dan Stack from Fan Sports. Obviously, Coach, you have a great player in Zedarius, a special player. But all tournament long, you've been getting a lot of production from all the starting five. You had 4 in double figures in a lot of games you did. Can you express what they meant down this run too?
Been like that all year. It's I don't know. Some people start reporting that we're a one-man team and all that, and it's been like that all year. We had 4 guys averaging double figures until the end of the season. Then Chris just kind of slipped out of there. We hit a little tough patch first couple of weeks in February, and every team goes through it, and everybody has decided to judge these kids based on those 2 weeks rather than the 5 months, and that's why we're sitting here right now, because they don't pay attention to that nonsense. They believe in each other. You heard them talk about trust. They're completely invested into each other, not winning each other, which then allows you to win. And they're powerful kids, man. Powerful kids.
To the front right for Josh.
Josh Newman, Asbury Park Press. Frank, when the buzzer goes off and your assistant coaches hug you, can you just describe what the emotions were like in that initial moment as the buzzer went off? Yeah,
just those guys have been with me. Bob Huggins hired me at Cincinnati, and he helped me at Northeastern. I'm thinking of my high school coach that took a chance on a guy that wasn't worth a crap as a player, and for whatever reason believed in me, and became a father figure in my life. I'm thinking of Hugs fighting to give me a chance. Just every guy I've coached over 32, 33 years. But I'm the luckiest human being in the world. I just continue to have incredible people put in my life. And a lot of people have believed in me and not given up on me when they should have, to be honest with you. And so all that's going through my mind. And when Hugs got the West Virginia job, he could have done what every other coach in America would have done. He could have taken the other assistants with him. That means that Bill Walker, Jacob Pullen, Michael Beasley, all those guys would have gone with him to West Virginia. And instead, he huddled all the coaches up and he said, "It's Frank's turn. I'll be okay." And he made sure that we stayed together. And here we are, same group of guys, Brad Underwood, Lamont Evans, guys that have believed in us. But, from Doug Edwards to Andy Astley, Scott Greenewalt, Matt Figger, who's my dude, that guy, I can't wait for somebody to give Matt a head job. He's a stud. And their families, we were winning at Kansas State. And when I walked in and I said, "I'm thinking of doing this," those families, man, I become responsible for their children. It's part of my job. And they all said, "Frank, if that's what you think we need to do, we're in." And I'm just telling you, I'm luckiest dude on the planet. It's the people that are put in my life daily are just incredible.
Second row on the right side, Mark.
Mark Herman from Newsday. Frank, I saw right after the game, one of your first conversations was with your mom. It looked very heartfelt. Can you describe the sacrifices she made and how she contributed to who you are?
Strongest woman I've ever met. Husband runs out, leaves her, never gives her a penny. She never takes him to court. Doesn't make excuses. Worked on a salary as a secretary. Raised my sister and I. We'd go to Wendy's or Burger King every 2 Fridays. That was our family meal. She gave me the courage to try and do this for a living. Every time I'm in a difficult moment and I got to make a choice and do right or do wrong. I made her cry one time when I was a teenager because I made the wrong choice. I'm never making her cry again for making the wrong choice. And watching her cry tears of joy because of all her sacrifices have allowed me and my sister to move forward in life. Those are the tears that are important to me. You know, that's extending her life. When you make your mother cry for joy, gives her more life. And she's a special lady, special lady.
To the left of the aisle, David.
David Cloninger with the state. Frank, you guys mentioned that, when you came in, you were on a mission. And I know that the wins were hard to come by at first, but did you ever think that, it would end up at this moment? Was there ever a doubt in your mind that you would get here eventually?
Anyone that's in sports dreams of moments like this. It's not something that you start dreaming it the year you win 25 games. You dream it every single day. And the thing is that you have to work towards getting better every day, not get wrapped up on good and bad and losses and wins. But the goal was, I've never changed my mindset. It's been my mindset from day one. Our job was to elevate our program to where we can compete for an SEC championship. That was it. And that's what we've been striving to do. And I know that if we can elevate our program to where we can compete for an SEC championship, because I know our league, we have a chance to win games in this tournament. And that's what's happened. Our kids believe in each other. They work their tails off. And we keep our focus where it matters. And that's on one another. And not making things easy for each other. On the contrary, making things hard for one another. So we can be prepared and bond and be prepared for this moment.
This will be the left-hand mic, but on the right of the aisle.
Coach Judy Gatson from WIS-TV. Almost every fan that I've talked to between the last game and this one brought up that letter that you wrote and the special connection that they felt getting even stronger. That was almost like a heavyweight bout out there. Talk about the difference the fans made today.
Yeah, it's that's why I wrote it, Judy. It's Columbia's a special place. It's got great people. Our state's a special place. And you guys know this. I've learned it over the last 5 years. The way it welcomed our family from day one, and we were all outsiders. Our kids weren't winning, but fans were signing up for it. I love going to the other team's games and seeing what Dawn built. And everyone wants to talk about football. Obviously, the football atmosphere is second to none. But I go to volleyball games and it's sold out. I go to soccer games and they're sold out. I go to softball games and they're sold out. And, and I kept saying, God, if we can connect with this community, with this alumni base. Bruce Ellington and Darius Rucker, two guys that I've gotten to know because of basketball, both in tears after the game. Bruce is a special young man to me, and I only coached him for 18, 19 games, but he's a special human being. And then Darius, everyone knows Darius, but to see how important this school is to him, as successful as he is in life, just continues to show me what special people we have supporting our university. And that's why I wrote the letter. And it was my feelings, and it's what I meant. And I had no idea we were going to win, none. But I needed our fans to understand it in a powerful moment where I know they were paying attention because of our team's success. And I wanted to make sure they understood the way my staff, myself, my family, and obviously the players feel.
To the right of the aisle, toward the back.
Jamal Murphy, Bill Roden on Sports. You talked about dreaming about this. Does it feel like you dreamt it would? And also, how long before you think about Gonzaga?
I'm not going to pay Gonzaga a bit of attention till sometime tomorrow. I'm not. We go back to my high school days. I'm fortunate. I was an assistant on 5 state championships. I was the head coach on 3 other state championships. So in 16 years as a head high school coach, I was a part of 8 state championships. And every year, I'd sit around and I'd say, maybe one day, if maybe someday I get a chance, maybe I can do that one day. But I realized I didn't have the pedigree or the background or the basketball history as a player. And it took a gentleman named, I went through you see, adversity's about, I said this the other day at one of our press conferences back home. We tend to jump on these kids when they make mistakes as if we didn't make mistakes. And some of us got caught, some of us haven't been caught. But when we sit around and start judging people in their difficult moments, it says a lot about the people that criticize, not the people that make the mistakes. And I was a part of an unfortunate situation coaching high school basketball, and it was under my watch. I still, to this day, say we were not guilty, but I was responsible for that situation. And I lost my job, and that was the first time I ever said, you know what, I'm going to try this college thing. And I couldn't, I said the story. Only one person wrote me back, and that was Coach K, the only person. And then I ended up taking a year later. I had a principal named Linda Evans. She gave me a job to coach her basketball school, and I loved it. And then a gentleman named Rudy Keeling called me and offered me a job at Northeastern. And here we are, man. Here we are. It's, if you ever lose your dream or your desire to fight for your dream, then don't get mad when you don't get it. But adversity, how we handle that determines what comes forward. And go back to my mom, my grandma. When they told my grandma, yo, you got to leave your house now, and you're going to this country where you don't speak their language, and you got to go sew from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and figure it out. She lost her husband to a heart attack, so now she was left with my mom and my uncle as teenagers, didn't speak a lick of English. Somehow, some way, here I am today, all because of her courage. So, it's just a lot of stuff, man, a lot of stuff right now, but you can't lose your dream.
To the right side of the aisle, Len.
Frank, that's obviously very emotional. Stick with me for just 1 second here. You've talked yesterday about being a dreamer. You're talking about all the dreams of your family now. You marry a woman from New York City. You get to play in the regional here. And at exactly 5 o'clock, you cut the last snip off the net and wave it around while Frank Sinatra's belting out New York, New York. Is it something you can't even dream of?
No. My wife turned me down 7 times to go out on a date. 7. And the day she made the mistake on going out on a date with me, I never let her go. And she mothers my children. She puts up with my nonsense about work. When we came to a new community where she knew nobody at, she's been dealing with our kids while I've been running around the country trying to build a program. New York's a special place to me. My sister, her husband, their children, they live in the Cobble Hill area in Brooklyn. They run a family, 2 little family restaurants. They work every single day the way my grandmother and my mother taught us to work. My wife's family, same story as my family. Unbelievable that she's the one that gets put in my life. And I'm up there, and people have asked me before what kind of music I listen to. I listen to Sinatra. And I usually listen to My Way the day of the game. And then to be up on that ladder, cutting that net, lifelong dream. And here in New York, at a place that's special to me, special to my family, it's pretty powerful.
In that same area, using the left-hand microphone.
Heath Klein, 107.5 The Game. Coach, 7 of 12 for them in the first half from 3, 0 for 14 second half. Did you do anything different, or was it just one of those times where some shots were going in, you just keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I don't want to speak for Mike's kids, which, by the way, what a job by Mike White and those kids. Unbelievable. Heath, I don't know. I lived this situation 7 years ago, and they had that hard overtime game, And it's, what was it, 36 hours ago or something like that? By the time they got back to the hotel, did they kind of run out of juice a little bit? I don't know. I thought they missed some open looks. We played harder. We played better offensively. I thought our ball screen defense was a lot better in the second half than it was in the first half. But I also think they missed some shots. And sometimes that ball bounces your way, sometimes it does not. And I'm not trying to take credit away from our guys. I think as the half evolved, we defended better and better and better. But 3-point defense has been a staple of our team all year. They made some harsh shots in the first half, and it was against our zone more than anything. It was difference in the game.
Coach, final question of the weekend in the region, and we got to go back to your man, Max, in the front row.
My guy.
Oh, Max Bunstetter, Sports Illustrated for Kids. Coach, your team has made these insane second-half runs throughout the entire tournament. What do you feed your team at halftime that causes them to just go out there and dominate?
Max, they didn't throw in. It goes back to adversity, okay? When we weren't good enough to win, they never threw in the towel. We have a little saying that we started this year, and we were kind of when we were scrambling a little bit, and in late January, early February, and I said to our guys, I said, have you guys ever been in a tug of war? Some of them said yes, some said no. I said, well, if you haven't, this is how it works. And you have two groups of people, and they're both pulling in opposite directions. If one person on one side lets go of the rope, it's bad. I don't care how hard it is, you can't let go of the rope or your team's going to lose. So we started saying, we're in a difficult moment right now. Hold on to that rope. Don't let that rope, I don't care how hard it gets, don't let that rope go. And our guys are fully invested in it. So at halftime of games, our guys don't panic. I'm the one that loses my mind. They don't panic. They stay the course. They hold on to that rope. Doesn't mean we're going to win, but they don't give in to a difficult moment. They don't throw in the towel. And that's a credit to them because they're young. They're trying to figure life out. And they don't run away from difficult times. On the contrary, they embrace it and they figure out a way to get out of it. And I want to say the last 3 games, is that what it's been? Been the same case? So I'm the guy that's been eating too much the last 3 weeks, Max. I think I put on 10 pounds since the conference tournament started. And I'm working out, Max. So that tells you how much I've been eating, especially up here in New York. They feed me too much up here. But I'm going to close with this. I don't know what your future is. Don't change, man. Don't change. You're a sharp young man. You're powerful. I can articulate the 2 questions you've asked me. I can articulate everything that you've said because of the way you represent yourself. Powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff. You got an old man up here learning from you. Powerful stuff. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Coach. South